Hey guys, today I have an op art lesson for you using lines and a single word. You can choose whatever word you want. Op art is short for optical, like optical illusion, and op art is all about optical illusions. Op art really started in the 60s and a little bit before that, right around the 60s, when a lot of psychologists were coming out with ideas of how the brain worked and how the brain perceived different things. So that was kind of what was going on then, and artists took advantage of that and wanted to test some of the different theories that psychologists were studying at the time. So that's kind of what happened. That's how op art kind of came to be. So how you do this, what I've already done, as you can notice, is the first step you would do is draw a 1/2 inch border around the paper. So to do that, you would just take your ruler and mark out a 1/2 inch on every edge. You want to measure on one side of the line and on the other side of the line too, because you want to have 2 dots to connect. If you don't do it that way, your line will normally be a little crooked. And with op art, because it's an optical illusion, for it to really work, you really need straight lines for your for the line part. Your words do not need to be as straight. They don't have to use block lettering. If you noticed or remember, my word coffee was more like bubble lettering a little bit, like elongated bubble lettering. But so this is how you do the border. The next thing you're really gonna wanna do while you have your ruler out is mark every 1/2 inch. You only have to do this on the top and bottom. You don't have to do it on the sides. I've already done that, so I'm not gonna make you watch me do it, but you wanna mark it up here on the long part and down here on the long part. So go back to flip that over. And you're gonna write out your word. Just a couple of tricks I'm gonna tell you about when you go to write your word. Don't choose a word that has like 10 letters in it. That's too many, and it's gonna be really hard to squeeze them all in. My word happened to have 6 letters in it. So the first letters I drew were the letters in the middle. And that's so my letters were evenly spaced throughout the page. So I drew the 2 F's and I stuck them in the middle, and then it doesn't matter what letters you draw next, as long as you put them in the right order so people can read the word. So that's what you do next. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to start to bring your lines across the page. So I'm going to start with I'll start with the first line on the top, and I'm going to bring it down to, like the middle line on the bottom. And I'm going to draw right over my word. From there, so I have 1 line. From there, I'm going to work out and just keep doing the next and the next and the next. To make sure you don't mess it up, what you might do is turn it upside down to make sure you're not skipping a line. For instance, you're not doing something like this, because really all the lines want to be parallel. So I'll do that. So you realize, and I've never done this type of project before, but you might realize that I got to a point where I didn't have lines to connect for some of these other ones. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of eyeball it and try to make sure that my line that's gonna start on this line, I'm gonna use this line still, is as far apart from the first line as it is the second line. Actually, I just thought of something. Ta-da! Okay. Here's what I thought of. I thought of, if I line my ruler up at 0 with the corner, this is a 1/2 inch apart. Okay, so then now I have lines to use. So I line the line up with this line and this line and draw the line. This line and this line, draw the line. This line and this line, draw the line. All right, so if that last part didn't make sense, I'll do it again over here. Really what's happening is I get to this line and I don't have anything to line it up with. You have two options. You can just eyeball it to the best of your ability, which is really the best option. Or if you are a perfectionist or you're not good at eyeballing things, what you can do is start at your last line and just measure out 1/2 inch. Or third option, if you have another piece of paper, you can extend your paper and make 1/2 inch marks. And just make sure that that doesn't shift as you're tracing them. So my ruler is kind of long here, so I'm just gonna. So those are just 3 options. I would say eyeballing it is probably the best option, but you know, depending on your eyeball, everybody has different eyeballs. You might not want to do that, so it's completely up to you. So the next part is an interesting part. I'm gonna start in the middle and show you what's really going on here. So you're going to color, let's see if I have a bigger Sharpie here. You're going to color one section. So you're gonna look at the lines diagonally now, okay? And you're gonna color one section. You're gonna focus on one section only. So I can help you in this video focus on one section only. I'm just gonna block off this one section visually for you. And I'm gonna choose what to color first. So I'm gonna color one. Now I'm not thinking of this as the word coffee. I'm thinking of it as a bunch of sections on the paper. And I'm only looking at one diagonal line at a time. So I would color this and not color this. So every other. So I would color this. I would not color this. I would color this little sliver. If you don't have a Sharpie marker, that's okay. Doing it in pencil is fine too. Or if you have colored pencils. Also, if you have a variety like pink Sharpie markers, purple colored pencils, whatever, you can do this with whatever color. My suggestion would be to use something that's high contrast from white, so like a dark color, to really make it pop. So I would color this, not color this, fill in this. And if you're doing this on printer paper and you're using a Sharpie, do put an extra piece of paper underneath what you're working on, because Sharpies, especially when you're coloring in, love to go through printer paper. Okay, so I'm coloring every other one. When I do the next section, the adjacent section, I'm gonna do the opposite. So since I colored this one, I would not color this one. But since I did not color this one, I would color this one. And I'm gonna move these papers because they're kind of in my way. I was just using them to show you or help you zoom in on the section that I was looking at. So this is where it really comes in handy to have a fine tip Sharpie and an ultra fine tip Sharpie, or a Sharpie that actually has a lot of life left in it. This one's kind of a sad Sharpie. But I'm gonna fill this all in. I'll find another Sharpie in a second. When I'm filling in, what I'm gonna do is, because I really want like a sharp point here where the two meet, use my ultra fine one for edges, because I really want my edges to be nice and straight. So I would skip this, but I would fill in this. So I'm gonna use the technique to outline it with my ultra fine Sharpie and fill it in with my fine tip Sharpie. So, let's see if I have a different one. I don't know. Okay, so just to reiterate, I'm doing every other, and I'm not thinking of it like this. I'm thinking of it diagonally. So if I color, don't color, color, wait, color, don't color, 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 don't color, color, don't color, color, opposite, don't color, color, don't color, color, don't color, color. Another way to think of it is every other diagonal line will be you're coloring in the word. So you would be coloring in the word on this diagonal line, and you would not be coloring in the word on this diagonal line. So you would be coloring in the word on this diagonal line, not the word, not the word, etc., etc. So here's my finished work. A couple of things to think about is you can really do anything for this assignment. You could do your name, you could do any word that you're interested in. But when you're finished, if you do choose to do this project, please send me your finished work and I'd love to see it, and I'll post it on my Instagram if you'd like. All right, thanks, stay well.